Hey, what's up? Welcome to the first video on the channel. Probably very few people see this, so I don't really care what I say. But today I thought what I talk about is just basically what's the reason behind the inception of this channel. What's my, sort of point, because I'm sure this thing will be returned to a million times over the years. So I think I'll probably name this video what all people, spiritually awakened people, will understand this. And basically, what I want to get at today, for anyone who is going through the awakening process or has been for a while, who's reached some sort of plateau in it, is to make this one statement and see what you think of it. All religions and true philosophies share a common theme. They lead to a common place. And I reckon that really the process of spiritual awakening is the realization of that, or the beginning to see that common thread that runs through it all. And I'm going to give you a little stab at what I reckon that common thread is. And I'd like to see in the comments below, which I mean, probably no one will even see this. And if you do, and you like what I'm saying, put a message in the comments and I'll send you a free copy of my book, because I've been at this for almost 15 years. And I'm young, yeah, but I started very young with the sort of beginning of the old, spiritual awakening process, that disillusionment phase, at about 20. So it's been a long road, but it's been very fruitful in terms of understanding. What the funny thing is, during the height of my sort of revelatory experiences, I wasn't bothered about writing anything, but it's come to me to realize I think it's probably best that I do. What are you going to do with it? I've put myself in a position where, I have a lot of freedom physically, and so I guarantee that if I don't now use this time to start the process of carrying on the torch, as it were, then probably, in 10 years time, I'll face some repercussions for it, in terms of, there's more lessons that I'll have to learn again if I don't now take it upon myself to start sharing what I've picked up on. So what's the common thread that runs through all religions, or all true religions, or the original philosophies that became the religions? Because I think the religion is the problem. Not that it's a problem, I mean, it's fine, it's great, whatever, but it's the organization factor that we all know. But this is what my book's about, but I can just outline it here. Essentially, I think what we come to realize when we go through the awakening process is the truth is internal. That as we begin, I think, learning, first you need to learn your logic. Through that, you develop an internal measure of truth. You begin to be able to engage the world properly. As a child, well, as we're taught nowadays, as kids, we go to school, we have a teacher. The teacher tells us, oh, this is the answer. So we're always looking to someone, oh, what's the answer? And so we start, at some age nowadays, I don't know, this isn't everyone, but at some point we start, there's a revelatory moment where you realize, holy shit, I can figure out the answer myself. This usually comes when people start learning logic, philosophy, I don't know, but people find this in many different ways. But initially we start looking for answers. We get some sort of techniques that we can use to investigate the world. And we carry out those investigations, and through those investigations, we come to conclusions. Those conclusions give us a solidity of, they give us a level of certainty in our behavior that gives us confidence in life, and brings our lives forward. Because now suddenly we realize, okay, I can find out the truth, and I can use those truths to make decisions. Those decisions, once I make them based on these truths, turn out the way I expect them to. And from there, we begin our process of creating the life that we want, and also asking, what is it that we want? How can we get it, and what do we want? At core, that's the greatest, extraordinary, mysterious aspect of life, really, is that our minds are capable of connecting with, absorbing well enough, and then initiating actions with enough delicacy that we can affect the universe around us. And again, now it sounds very simple, and I think this is the facts, is that the truths, the spiritual truths, which separate someone who you see running around like some sort of enlightened being that we all sort of venerate, from people who we would consider, I don't even know what the opposite of that is personally. Like, I meet people all over the place. Everyone's great, basically. Except maybe but the people who enforce awful laws and do awful things to people, that's wrong. That's wrong. But the difference between someone who's sort of spiritually, we would like the true spiritual teachers who are going around these days, which there are a couple who are genuinely on it. They're in the right space. Those people know that the things are simple. Sorry, that's what we started. It's simplicity. These answers are extremely simple. They're so simple that most people will overlook them for decades if you're unlucky, to the point where the realization of the returning to the truth, which gives people liberation, is usually a massive. It's a rejection of more. It's more of a rejection of ideas than it is an acquisition of more ideas. In fact, this is just hear my words and just let it seep into your unconscious, because when you listen to other people, you hear them saying exactly what I'm saying right now. And the simple ideas are this. This is the simple fact, right? And I'm just gonna put it in whatever time this video takes, because again, who cares? No one's really gonna see this. And if you do and you like it, please just message me and tell me, and follow, subscribe, and all that, because I'd love to build this channel. The plan is to do this, this is the final step on a long journey, which was obviously just the beginning of another journey, but to make these insights something that can benefit people. And in order to do that, I need to get some sort of following. That way it's like, don't have to ask anything of anyone. It's like people follow it, cash comes in from ads. That's great. So the simple thing is this. There is a truth. There is a reality that's happening around us. We're a part of it, and our minds are connected directly to it. Through the correct thinking apparatuses, we can not only see directly what is happening in reality, we can influence the becoming of nature and reality in real time. Now, let's connect, that's the statement. Let's put this to what religions say. Say Jesus. I don't know. I never really read Christianity, because I grew up in a Christian society. Like, I was in the States, America, when I was young, and I just absorbed it. I feel like I didn't need to read, because it's obvious. Everyone talks about it, what's good and bad, and that Jesus said so. So it doesn't matter. But what did he say? We are, in paraphrasing, what you get from all this stuff is, we are the creator. The creator's within. The kingdom of heaven is within. We are part of the creator. And in a totally simplistic, not super self-aggrandizing, insane way, it's a fact. Tell me right now that go inside, or go just look around, get a piece of paper, fold it in half. You can make some origami, learn about origami. You've created something. How did that happen? I told you that created a thought. That thought went to an action. That action created a thing in reality. That thing will then persist as long as it does. That's it. We create stuff. That's if there is a God, if there's a larger force in the whole universe that created us and created this universe, we bear an aspect of that. And so do fucking beavers. It's not some big mystical self-aggrandizing ego trip thing. It's just a fact. And it's a fact that if you take on with a sober mind and a clear mind, and then you just take that as a given and start complexifying your ability to understand reality, then your ability to create things increases. That's why we learn skills. We learn things. We learn to perfect our skills so that we can create more exceptional things. It's simple. So, fact one, there's a universe which we're a part of. There's a real truth. There's a real thing happening out there. Through direct apperception of it, removing our personal desires from the picture, we can get a clear picture of what that reality is. Through our understanding, we can influence the unfolding of creation in time. And that's it. That's the simple fact. And again, it's so simple that it's so obvious that people who want to get off on their no, I don't know. The pursuit of intellectualism itself would lead you away from that conclusion. Because again, I'll go so far into all this stuff in the future, explanations, because it's funny. In order to explain simple things, to start from the beginning of everything you learn to return back to the simple requires so many levels of different points that have been made. But I imagine most people who are going to appreciate my content are going to understand most of the stuff anyway on their own. But the simple truths are hard to see because we think that in terms of thinking, or we think that there's some sort of big thing about philosophizing, thinking, and because there's a authority structure, a hierarchy based on knowledge that makes it seem like intelligence has to do with how much you know, when the fact is, the real truth of intelligence is it has to do with the clarity of your perception. You don't need to hold on to any millions, billions of facts, only if you have some technical job that requires that for you to know this stuff, which at some point just turns into secondary. You don't think about it anyway. But you need to know that to teach this craft forward. The fact about intelligence in terms of a human's actual intelligence is that it's 99.999% the clarity with which any one person perceives the present moment. Because if we're all here, we're walking around in life doing shit, and what happens? Things happen. We have to respond to those things. In order to respond to those things, we have to be aware of what's actually going on. So when it comes to higher levels of intelligence and spiritual awakening and all this stuff that everyone's really looking for now, I think we all sort of get seduced by the idea that that speaking eloquently and having all this great vocabulary means that we're intelligent, where it's actually a false thing. And I say this as being someone I studied philosophy, and I went all down the route of being very eloquent and very vocabulary. I used all the big words, and it's all basically self-aggrandizing. It's a form of domination. Using big words in a conversation in order to prove a point basically is a form of domination, because what you want to do is confuse somebody and make them think that they're dumb because they don't understand what you're saying, and therefore you win and you can tell them what to do. Simple. And that's a fact. Again, that fact comes from a long time of reading philosophy. Nietzsche. Read Nietzsche on Truth and Lies in a non-moral sense. In these videos, I'm going to drop in, if I mention to you to read a specific book, it's because in that book is basically an answer to all of our collective thinking problems. And that's one. That's one that, again, everyone, you may have heard this, if you probably haven't, if you haven't ever studied philosophy, but they say Nietzsche is the most quoted man of the 20th century. The irony, if you've ever read Nietzsche, you know irony, is that the most foundational truth that he's putting across, no one has even yet come to terms with. And we're still living with the same problems. He wrote about scientific exceptionalism in 1890 or something. He was saying about how scientists think they know everything and they really don't. And how it's just and then now you get people like, oh yeah, scientism, like it's some big, and I myself thought, oh, I'm such the great, smartest person because I realized this. And then you realize, yeah, Nietzsche was saying this fucking more than 100 years ago. And the problem is that we all get up on a high horse about thinking that we know something because we've made a discovery of thinking, which isn't a discovery at all. It's just seeing things clearly. And we get on a high horse thinking that we're special for seeing things clearly, when this should be the fucking case for everyone. This should be the nature of everyone should see things clearly. And we should all be sharing in that so that we can do what we need to. Again, this comes from our training, which has created this sense of, like, the schooling system, which creates this sense of morality, or good and bad, or praise and blame about knowledge and how much knowledge we have. So it's been 15 minutes. All right, let's condense, clarify, and get to the point of what I'm saying. This one point, which is a simple point. But again, I'm going to return to this a million times, because whoever's seeing this now, it's probably no one. But whoever does see it will see this now. And then in a year's time, when I've made 100,000 videos, if there's new people, they're still going to need to know this point. And this is one of the most fundamental points we all need to get a hold of. The truth of all of the true philosophies, the ones that have carried their way all the way through until now in society because of their use, things like Plato, Aristotle, Greek philosophy, Christianity to a certain degree, all these religions, what is it that they have there's many similarities, right? But one of the key threads is this: there is a reality happening outside. We live in a world in which there is this large transformation becoming of forms. There's things happening, and there's this larger trend of things transforming, of which we are a part. Yes, there's a thing. Okay, like our bodies are made of cells, right? They do their thing. Each one of the cells does its thing. But what it doesn't know, maybe it does, is that actually much of what's happening in its life is determined by my or our decisions. Say, oh, I want to go skiing. It's going to be suddenly really cold. The cell's going to be responding to this cold, which it's still doing its thing, but it's affected by a larger trend, all right? We're much in the same way. That's the idea of a God, the idea of a large being which creates all these things. It's a similar idea, that there's this sort of world, there's this we are part of a larger system. That larger system has a purpose, and there's something happening. If we act in certain ways, if we do certain things, abstain from other things, and conduct ourselves in certain ways, then we can have a better, clearer, more whole understanding of what it is that's happening that we're a part of. When we carry that on, and we are disciplined and true and to the purpose of actually understanding what's going on, then we will naturally gain the ability to affect what's going on in certain ways. And I could just take this further, but I haven't talked about anything further than that. That's the case. We live as a part of a larger universe. That universe is happening outside of us, part of us all, but also part and apart from us. If we treat our bodies, minds, and behaviors and thinking in correct ways, we will be able to get a more and more fine and accurate view of what is going on. And from the accuracy of our understanding of all of these steps that accrue to these transformations in time, we will be able to be more and more effective at larger and larger scales. In terms of when we want to see something happen, or we think that something should happen, then we act in certain ways, and that thing comes to be through our action, because we're part of it. That's a big, huge thing about spiritual awakening. And this is when we talk about all this not silliness, but I get it. We're getting very excited about the idea of magic, or being able to affect things, and it's not like, I want to say, it's not magic, it's life. That's real. It's just, we've been basically brain fucked into thinking that we're so powerless, but we're not. We're extraordinarily powerful, actually, when we are thinking clearly, acting responsibly. I mean, again, these words will have to be more and more clarified in time as you listen to more videos, but I think you probably know what I'm talking about. If you click on this title and it's something like Spiritually Awakened People will understand this. then you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm just putting it in new words. But the key takeaway from this is, if you're in the process of looking through religions, you're still finding this stuff interesting, look for the common thread. And assuming this is the key point, right? We can affect reality. It's not that we are God. Well, again, all these words are just misunderstandings that I would like to do away with personally in my own vocabulary and when I'm talking to you about this stuff as well. Creation is happening. It is a real thing. It's bigger than any of us can understand. However, if we are sincere in our desire to know what's going on, which requires that we must constantly check our ego, because our ego sense of identity that wants to feel special is totally delusional, knowing the scale of the universe and the scale of us within that. But that being the case, knowing that we all have a similar power and ability to affect changes, look in all these texts and all these things that you sense the sincerity in, look at what they suggest you do. What they suggest you should do in order to affect the things the way you want to affect them. And ideally, that's for the good. Again, this is the question of, we hear a lot about not so friendly characters all around the world doing not so friendly things, that we question, do people really even do that? Or is this just crazy people talking? The question is, when you realize you can affect things, to what end do you wish to affect things? For yourself or for the whole, of which is part of you? I'm not saying you're the universe is you. That is all just confusing stuff that I don't think is very helpful. But assuming things are self-similarity, fractal, do we affect things in a way that is for the good of each and every one individual similar facet? Like, think about a crystal, right? You smash a crystal and every piece of that crystal bears the same structure, right? So they're all the same. Doesn't matter how big they are. They all under a microscope are the same. So think about the universe that way, and you and me and all of us is the same. Assuming that we are able to affect the creation of the universe, the way that things go, how do you choose to do it? That's my question. And for anyone, I would hope, watching this, I'm not going to tell you what to do at all. That's the point. You can't tell people what to do. But no, there's no buts. That's my question to you. If you follow this along to here and now, and you're like, oh yeah, true, that's all true, then what do we do from there? That's why I'm on this channel now. What do I do? So one more short summary and I'll shut up. All the religions, all the philosophies which have carried their way to us, the ones that are core, people like Plato, not all the aftermath of that, with people like, ooh, and this and that and this and that. The core source text from which everyone makes their critiques, all point to similar truths, because there is a one truth, right? We are part of a universe, and that universe is in the process of creation. Things are being created and changing constantly. We have the ability to apprehend on very scales much larger than the size of our body, the way that things are transforming, to the effect that we can initiate changes that cause transformations in time in the future. Meaning we can participate in the process of creation, right? Simple. It's really simple. It's like what you teach kids. It's simple. That being the case, look through these books now. If you're still involved in, which probably you should be, researching about this stuff, look for what are the things that they say that we should do in order to be more effective in this process, in this effect, right? Look for that. And put it into practice and see what happens. That's my video for today. Think about it.